Hello, and welcome to the next episode of the Everyday Sewist. I'm so glad you're here. I have a whole bunch of things to share with you today. I'm super excited about them. You can see some of my old finishes behind me. I've got piles of stuff here ready and waiting to show you. So I hope you're sewing, doing something fun along with that, and let's get started. The first thing I wanted to share with you is one of my older finishes. This isn't actually that old. This was from last year, 2024. And Fig Tree Quilts had a sew along making a bow tie quilt. I love their fabrics. I had a pile of scraps waiting to be made into something. I love this really soft vibe of their fall fabrics. It seems perfect for August and September as those colors start to change hue and all the lighting seems to get softer and gentler from the summer heat. So I made this quilt during the sew along last year. She offered several different options on sizes. I'm pretty sure that information is still available online, and I will put a link in the description box for you. But the bow tie block is very simple to make, and I chose to make it in an 8-inch size. I think you could have done 6 or 4-inch size as well, was some of the options that she offered. So with an 8-inch block, I ended up making 88 blocks for a setting that was 8 across and 11 rows. That gave me a twin-sized quilt, and it finished at about, 64 by 88. And on the back, I found this really pretty, again, very soft fall green fabric in my stash. I quilted it with a pretty large loopy pattern, which I think it makes it very drapable. Just seemed to be very appropriate to me. So far I am keeping this one. I haven't gifted it or donated it. I think I'm gonna hang on to it for a little while because I really like it. So then the second finish, along with, like I said, I like fig tree, and I had another fig tree quilt that I finished, and this one was from back in 2017. And again, this one was not, this sew along was not sponsored by Fig Tree. I just happened to use a layer cake of her fabric to make this quilt. This one was a sew along from the Fat Quarter Shop for their Make-A-Wish program. And it was called Patchwork Quilt Along, done in 2017. So each time they released a pattern, I think you made 5 or 6 blocks of the same pattern, but used different fabrics from your layer cake. And again, I really enjoy this one. It comes out at this time of year every year, and I have a nice big border on it. And I had a couple of nice big chunks of fig tree fabric to put on the back. And it is a split backing. And I think if you zoom in, you might be able to see the quilting pattern a little bit. It kind of has a little pinwheel effect on it. And it looks really cute. So 2 fig tree finishes from past years, and for me they're perfect for this upcoming beginning of fall season. And the next older finish that I wanted to share with you, because if you're starting to think about pumpkins already like I am, I just thought I'd share this quick little make with you. This one is Pumpkin Hollow, a little Villa Rosa design pattern. And it's a table runner, but when I saw it and made it, I thought, oh, this could be super cute if you made several rows just like this, alternating your big pumpkins and little pumpkins. And you could make a great lap size quilt just by making more rows of this. So if that interests you, the Villa Rosa patterns are usually pretty easy to find. I just made this one last year, by the way, and it's about 50 inches in width. So that's why I'm saying if you did make several rows of this, you would have a really great lap size quilt. It did call for fat quarters and fat eighths. However, I think these scrappy pumpkins are a great place to use up all different widths of strips. And I quilted it with a really pretty fall leaf pattern with acorns and just used a really simple backing fabric on it. So I'm going to be getting this one out soon, not quite yet, but if you have some scraps of these kind of nice fall colors that you're wanting to make use of, this is a great fun project to sew, and I really recommend it. And it'd be a good time to start on something like that, especially if you're looking for a fall project. I have some other ideas for fall sewing that I'll get to a little later. So now on to some of my new finishes, the things that I was working on in the last video. I told you that I was working on. Some of them just had bindings to be done. There was a lot of binding to be done. It was not a terribly fun last couple of weeks. Some of these parts of the projects, I understand why people have a lot of UFOs, because there are some parts of a project that are not as fun to work on as others. Me, I love to piece. I love to make blocks. And so sometimes I drag my feet a little bit when it comes to doing borders and bindings and all that kind of stuff. Once I get it on the long arm, I'm pretty good. But boy, I had a lot of bindings to get done for this video and some borders, and it was not the best. Anyway, but they're done. So let me show you what I finished. All right. So this one I showed you last time as a top. So it is done now. Completely done, bound and everything. So I just thought I'd at least show you what the quilting looked like on it. I got a new pattern, and it's called Belle's Beach, I believe it is. Just a really cute open, looks like waves. You might remember that I told you that this was a Jolly Bar made from a book by the Fat Quarter Shop called Jolly Bars. And it was in volume 1, I believe. Very simple, but I really enjoy having all of the measurements and all of the layout and pressing instructions. So I really like having those books. This one I call Summer Fun. The pattern name is Seize the Day, but I called my version Summer Fun. And have this cute blue with the whales on the back and a little orange binding, and I did the binding by machine. I had so many bindings to get done, and this one is probably staying with me for my couch, at least during the summer months, so I felt very comfortable doing a machine binding. So it is done, and I'm happy for that. The other one that I got done, and this one I did by hand, I showed this to you before, and I did get the quilting done on it and got the binding on it. This one's called Starstruck Stripes, and I have since taken it off the table because I think I just like to have these out during July. So I'm looking forward to being able to use it a little bit more, a little longer period of time next year. And then I finished a couple of table runners. So the little bit of a story on this is that I had shown my Shibori vase quilt an episode or two ago. And I did a demonstration on how I made those blocks. And that demo is up on my channel. So if you look for Shibori vases, you'll find a demo as to how to make these blocks. And this one I made from the leftover blocks from the quilt. And so now, and I just did some straight line quilting on it. Here's the backing. And I did the binding by hand because I did not think I would like the way it would look if I saw any machine binding, machine stitches along the edge. I thought it would be really detracting. So I decided to hand bind this one. And in my demo, I used these fabrics. So I just wanted to share with you that the demo actually gave me another table runner. I really like it, and it is finished. This one, I did a little wavy line on it. And let's see if I can get it to an angle where you can see those wavy lines. Just used a neutral color, a neutral thread on the quilting for that. And so I'm happy to have this one done, and I just wanted to share with you that, hey, those blocks that I made in the demo, they didn't just sit around, they actually got finished and made into something. Yay! So that's a great finish. I have a couple more. That's why I said I have been really trying to power through some of the finishing on these projects, and some of them just needed binding, and so those things finally got done. So, getting to better finishes, bigger finishes. So, this is my plus and bars quilt that I started in May of last year with Tara Seberg on Instagram. And she posted her quilt, and then she posted a follow-up for a free pattern to make this. And mine sat for a little while, and now I'm glad to say I have it completed. It's quilted and bound, and I did a hand binding on this. And when I thought about it, I thought, oh, I probably could have done machine binding on it, and it would have been just fine, and I would have had it done a lot earlier. But what I'm going to do is I am going to put it up behind me so that you can get a better look at it. Okay, here it is. Here is my plus and bars quilt. If you take a look at this and then compare it to the pattern that Tara did, you will probably notice a couple of things. One is that I decided for the size quilt that I wanted to make, I would turn these blocks to be horizontal instead of vertical. So that also gives you another idea as to how you might interpret her pattern. I also have used a variety of shades of white and gray in the pluses. And that was because I felt like it. And that's what I had in my stash that I wanted to use up. And I thought it made it interesting. I just liked the fact that they didn't all have to be the same plus. So if you were wanting to try making this, then interpret it the way that it works for you and that you like. So I'm very happy to have this one done. I put this really cool print on the back that I think is a nice surprise. I can put the fabric information down in the description box. And then the pattern, the quilting pattern that I used on this is called Bauhaus. And it's a nice open design, and I think it complements the piecing on it as well. And this is a good throw size. I didn't make it quite as big as Tara's. Mine is, I think it turned out to be about 60 by 72, something like that. So, and again, I can put that kind of information down in the description box. So I think I have an idea as to who this might go to. Probably won't hang around at my house very long. It's probably going to get shipped off quite soon. So that was a great one to have finished. Again, I'm trying very hard, even though I'm starting new things, I'm trying very hard to finish some of my older projects. And speaking of older projects, I have shown you the top of this one before, and I am absolutely thrilled to say that this quilt, this is another bow tie quilt, that this one is finally done. Quilted, bound, and fresh out of the dryer, all crinkled and ready to use. So I am going to hang this one up behind me, and I can tell you some more about it. So here it is. Here is my epic bow tie quilt. I started it back in 2012 with a leader ender challenge from Bonnie Hunter of Quiltville. So all of the information on how to make this 3-inch block, bow tie block, is on her website, on her blog. I finished mine just the other day. It is 84 by 96. I made 56 blocks. Each block has 16 bow ties in it. And the block, let me see if I can show you where the block is. So here's a center where 4 blocks meet at the corners. And so if I go up to where this X is, here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is my block right here. Does that, I hope that helps you to see where the block is. So every block is the same. These bow ties all get oriented in the same direction, and by changing them, by turning the block, you end up with this design. And there are many other ways that you could lay it, because it's basically you could do the same things with it as you could with a half square triangle, because you've got that diagonal movement. So I could have done zigzags or chevrons or streak of lightning. I could have done a barn raising. There were all kinds of ways to lay out a block like this. So mine is 56 blocks. It is 7 blocks across and 8 blocks down. And get ready for this. There are a total of 5,376 pieces in this quilt. I'm not likely to start anything that intense again for a while, seeing as how this one took me so many years to finish. I'm probably not rushing into making another one like this. But I am really, really pleased with it. Let me see if I can show you the backing. The backing is all one print. It's all just this really lovely green, some black, very fall oriented, and I did a machine binding on this with a red fabric that had been in my stash for a long time, and I thought that the red was a really nice color choice for that. So super excited to have that one done, and I'm gonna take a few breaths before I try to pull out another one of these bigger projects to finish. But I can show you, I have a bunch of other things that I'm working on, and let me get to showing you that pile of stuff. So, first off, let me pull this over here. Last time I showed you a pattern called, or a bunch of blocks called Dancing Charms. And they started out with a charm pack that you cut 1.5 inches off of the side and then 1.5 inches off the top. And when you do that, I should have brought that over with me. Hold on, I'm going to go and get you that because I'd like you to see that too. Okay, so when you take 2 charm squares, put them on top of each other, not right sides together, just put them on top of each other, right sides both facing up, and you cut off 1.5 inches from one side and 1.5 inches off the top, then you will get, when you sew those back together, you'll get 2 blocks that are opposite images. Well, as I was experimenting with this, I found a whole lot of really fun things that I could do with them. And so Karen 565, Karen, if you're watching, I want to show you some of the things that I came up with for these blocks that I think are super cool. And let me just lay this out here for you. Okay, and I'm going to pop up a whole bunch of pictures as well because I kept trying different layouts with these, and that's why I said if you want to try this, I bet you'll find a layout that really is striking to you. So if you take 4 of these blocks, whoops, well that didn't work, hold on. If you take 4 of those blocks, you get a layout like that. You could. Okay. Now we're gonna put up some other pictures for you. What Karen and I talked about in the comments section on one of the other videos was that I had also seen someone who had added extra strips. She had done the same thing. I don't remember what she called it, but you add a matching strip, as many of them as you want. So if this is my original block and you add 2 rows around it, you get even more fun stuff to play with. And so I made a couple of sample blocks, and what I can tell you is that even if you wanted to cut your own 3.5 inch squares, in order to do this first strip you need 8 inches, and in order to do the second round, you need 10 inches. And if you wanted to make it a 6-inch block, then you need 12 inches of fabric. Well, wouldn't that just bust a whole bunch of those smaller strips of your stash? And I keep a drawer. I have a drawer of 1.5 inch strips of, and they're not all with the fabric, so they kind of languish in there. And as much as I really liked doing this because it was really simple and mindless and you could just pick up 2 charms and go for it, I think I may end up doing one of these others. So take a look at the pictures as we kind of swap those up here and see about all those layouts that are possible with it. And what I'll do is I will put those dimensions down in the description box so that you don't need to try to remember them. They'll be there for you. So that ended up being really a fun surprise. I guess it shouldn't be, because that's part of what patchwork is all about, those really fun surprises that happen. So I have some other things that I've been working on, some smaller things. I have this pattern called Ghosties, again another Villa Rosa pattern, and this one turned out like this. Isn't that cute? This is with some Halloween fabric that is current. It's available now. I just had 5 fat quarters, and out of a fat quarter you probably could get 2 ghosts, but I just wanted to make the table runner. So this is not quilted yet. It's ready to be quilted, and I'll probably have that ready for you next time. Then I also had a heart quilt, but this is the second heart quilt that I made. The first one has already been gifted. It's no longer here. There was a need for a quilt. A friend called me and asked if I had something that I could give to a friend of hers, and so I had that heart quilt all ready, and I went ahead and gave that to her. So this is the second heart quilt, and it is in the binding stage. I just got it off of the long arm, got that cute little pattern on it called whipped cream, and I used the same flannel backing on it that I did on the other one from a Robert Kaufman, and you can see the quilting on there. So I will get this one bound and I will show you that one. I'll probably get to have it hung up there for you. And one other thing I'd like to share about this. So this one I put sashing in between each heart, and made 42 hearts for this one. And then in my notebook, as I was looking for some other information, I found this idea. And so you don't have to do a sashing that is a long, skinny 1.5 inch rectangle. You could make it wider, and then you could offset those hearts a little bit differently. And so I thought this was a really cute idea too. And I will put some more information about that down in the description box. So that was really fun. I am still working on my 4 patches. I'm still working on offset. I haven't made any progress on my 9 patch plus quilt, but because I have to get borders on that one. Borders. So hopefully that one will be done pretty soon. And so there's all kinds of stuff to work on coming up. So I have a couple other little things that I have started. After I did the Ghosties, which I said I needed to get that quilted and bound, I found another little table runner project to use up a charm pack. And this one is called Criss Cross. It's another Villa Rosa pattern, one of the ones that I bought when I was shop hopping. And so this is Criss Cross. So that was a nice, quick, easy sew. It does use a diagonal setting, and so if you've never tried a diagonal set before, working on something the size of a table runner could be a really good idea for learning how to do that. So I made, with one table runner, I was able to make 2 table runners. So I just divided it up, put more of the greens into this one, and found a nice pretty green in my stash to use for a border. And I'm really happy about those. I think they're going to quilt up really nicely, and I should have those quilted and ready for the next time. So a couple of things still in progress, but that kind of gives me some breathing room so that now I'm thinking more about fall projects, aren't you? Fall projects. And so I thought I would share a few of my thoughts, some of my ideas on things that I might pull out to work on. And also one of the things that I bought. I did get this layer cake. So this layer cake is called Jeweled Autumn by Robert Kaufman. And it was on a special on Missouri Star a few days ago. I think they still have some left. But I really, let's see. I thought the fabrics on this were really, really pretty. And I did get the layer cake, and so I am going to be looking through my patterns to see what I want to make with that. Love those colors, the teals and the blues and the purples and the golds. And so I haven't decided what I'm going to make yet with that, but here are some of the patterns that I am thinking about looking at. I'd really like to do this one called Falling Leaves by Villa Rosa. That one really appeals to me, and it takes 12 fat quarters. However, I would probably mix it up and use even more. If I make it the size that they have with the 12 fat quarters, it'll be 54 by 72. So that's a really nice size. I also had gotten this pattern when I was shop hopping. So I thought, again, those little pumpkins, and I thought the acorns were really cute. And I've had this pattern for a really long time that uses the mini curved ruler. It does use a special ruler for this. I just like the white pumpkins on that with a couple of the orange ones. So maybe I'll get to that. And I thought these were really super cute. I bought this at the Summit Street shop on my shop hop. Love those little turkeys. And this is a pattern I've had forever that I've never made. This is a new version of Brightly by Cluck Cluck Sew, and the mini pumpkin patches uses 39 5-inch squares, or you can use fat 8s and scraps. I think something like that could be really fun to do a mini, and those are 30 by 36, so cute little wall hangings. And I love the little foxes in all of their caramel brown orange prints. Those are really cute. So maybe I could make one into a pillow. And I did get a pattern for some spooky wool ornaments if we get farther into fall. Not going to do this one quite yet. And then I had also purchased this quilt seeds pattern while I was shop hopping. And that looks kind of like a nice fall project with some bigger blocks. I don't know how big this is, but it says on the back that it uses 10-inch squares for the different parts. So it's not too big. So maybe I'll pick one or two of those to work on. And then I also wanted to say, since we're kind of talking about some of these being mini quilts or making pillows with them, or especially one like this, I wanted to pass on a couple of comments that came up in the discussions on YouTube. So Gloria says that she donates some of her mini quilts to an organization, I think it's near her, that gives dolls to children in need. And they wrap up the dolls in the little mini quilts so that the doll has its own quilt when they give it away. And I thought that was a really sweet idea. I don't know how you would find out more information about it. But Gloria, if you are watching and you do have any information you could share and put it in the comments, I'm sure someone out there would really be interested and would like to jump in on that. Front Office says small quilts are also great for people in wheelchairs. And so keep in mind those that you know or organizations that might serve people in wheelchairs. And if you'd like to make a little mini quilt, I'm sure that there would be a lot of people who would love to have those. Then also, Julie suggested another way of making the shibori blocks that I showed in the table runner and in my demo. And she said that the way that I had done it was not the way that she thought it was going to be done. So it was interesting to both of us. So I might try her way of making those blocks, and if I do, I will share that with you next time and report back on whether or not that worked. I would also like to welcome the new subscribers to my channel. That's Jennifer, Gina, Serpil, Sonia, Brenda, Sue Ann, Sarah, Susan, Donna, Kathy, Quilts by Becky, Robbie, Shelley, Karen, Claire, Isabel, Cynthia, Marianne, Shannon, and there are some others. So thank you all so much for joining me. I really appreciate hearing your comments. It's just been a lot of fun. So with that, I'm going to remind you just one more time that if you are in the traveling this fall through the Indianapolis area, my local guild, the Quilters Guild of Indianapolis, is having its biannual show on the weekend of September 19th and 20th at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. So if you think you'd like to come, we would love having you come and see what our guild has been doing. There are some vendors that will be there as well, and there is more information on the guild website, and I will put a link in the description box for that. So I'm thinking about the change in weather. I hope things are going well for you, and I am so appreciative of having you here with me, and come back again. That's all for today. Thanks. Bye-bye.